There is nothing like the first sip of coffee of the day. What's Wrong with Orny Adams, episode 34. Something happened to me the other day that was so jarring, so disturbing. I don't think I'll ever get over this. I was out to eat. We were at a Chinese restaurant, and everything went great. It was a great meal. We were laughing. We were having a great time. And then the fortune cookies came. And something happened to me for the first time in my life, and I don't think I'll ever recover. I couldn't read the fortune. The print was too small. For the first time in my life, I couldn't read my fortune. I can sort of see it now because we're in light, but look how small this is. Look at this. Like, this hasn't changed in my lifetime. I've changed. And then something equally as disturbing happened. Somebody at the table pulled out reading glasses to read the fortune cookie. I go, whoa. I thought, I need younger friends. I can't hang out with people that bring reading glasses to dinner to read the fortune cookie. And then everybody went around the table to read their fortunes. And then it came to me, and I'm doing like this thing where I'm pulling it back and forth, and I'm trying to focus. And I'm like, hey, Orny, what does yours say? It says, you should get reading glasses. And somebody offered me their reading glasses. I said, I don't think so. I'd rather this happen. Fortune cookie, the fortune inside the cookie should actually be this big. This is how big it should be. I'm holding up. This is the size of a piece of paper. It's probably 11 inches by 2 inches. This is how big a fortune should be. And this is, when I got home and I actually read it, this is what it says. You should enhance your feminine side at this time. Well, I got to be honest with you. I've been thinking about doing this. I've been thinking about enhancing my feminine side. I don't even know what that means. And I was waiting for a sign, and I think this is it. The sign is a fortune cookie. Fortune that I wasn't even able to read. It's already too hot in here. I'm icing my forehead. With episode 34, I'm already sweating. I'm already sweating.
This is Dave from Lake Zurich.
Hey, Dave.
America needs you, Orny Adams.
I agree. Probably the whole world.
Let me tell you, the country is in quite a funk. It's a bit of a mess right now. And I believe the only group of people that could get us out of this are the comedians. And I believe you are poised to be one of the most successful ones.
I don't know about that.
So good luck.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, look, it's Tom Petty.
I want to play a song here. This song was the first single we put out in 1976. And we put the single out, and nothing happened. It just sat there. And one day, somebody came running into the room and said, they're playing it in Boston.
Yeah!
Well, we're going to leave you with this one with all our love. Here you go.
It's delicious, invigorating.
Chocolate nuts is that
Heavenly coffee.
better coffee a millionaire's money can't buy.
That's right, millionaires.
Chocolate Nuts perfected one grind that brews heavenly coffee in all coffee makers.
Maxwell House, good to the last drop.
Sing it, everybody. Maxwell House is. Maxwell House is.
Feeling.
Good to the last drop. Maxwell House.
Maxwell House, coffee you can count on. Always smells good, always tastes good, always good to the last drop.
Maxwell House is the only kind I sell. Like they say, good to the last drop.
Maxwell House coffee from General Foods. Always good to the last drop.
Was anybody complaining about the last drops in other brands of coffee? I mean, either it sucks from drop one or it doesn't. And who's drinking the last drop anyway? Who's taking it to the last? If you're taking it to the last drop, you got a problem. Make more coffee. And how do you get the last drop out? How do you get it out? You got to stick your finger in there and go, oh, I got to get this last drop. It's so good. Oh, I'm going to stick my last drop out. It's absurd. Hold on. It's absurd. It's absurd. And who is drop the official unit of measurement for coffee? I mean, you saw the way I started the podcast. I said, oh, look at this. The first sip of coffee. How about Maxwell House good to the last sip? How about that? Drop. Good to the last drop. Nobody makes it to the drop. It evaporates. It evaporates before you get there. Come on. Episode 34, What's Wrong with Orny Adams? These coffee advertisements, they got me going. They got me going. Well, the good news is we have a lot to discuss on this episode, including a new cult. Bringing this down a little bit. A new cult I investigated yesterday. I watched a documentary on The Source. The Source. We're going to continue the discussion of the sociopath next door. I've got reading glasses. I'm going to introduce my reading glasses for the first time, which really makes me feel old. It really... Oh, this is my favorite card of the podcast. It's blank. Fortune cookie, done. Listener email. Tom Petty, good to the last drop. Yeah, I don't want to get older. I really don't. I have a friend that called me last week, and this is going to be a sweaty mess. If you're watching the video, today is a sweaty mess already. Here's what happened. A friend called me, and he said he shattered his ankle in 3 places. I said, oh, what happened? Couldn't imagine. And he said, I was playing kickball, and I slid into... I said, hold on a second. Stop right there. Never say those words again. Shattered my ankle playing kickball. I mean, these are my friends. Reading glasses to read fortune cookie fortunes. The fortune inside the fortune cookie and sliding into tell people you shattered it because somebody was attacking your wife and you went to drop kick them and you shatter your ankle in 3 places. What's next? Friends with reading glasses with the little string? I mean, I can see where I'm heading. I'm going to become one of those people in Florida that's bald heads with Band-Aids on it to cover the cancer spots. And I'm thinking of putting something on the couch to cover it, some plastic. I'm going to be one of those old people. I had a friend call. He said, I really ornied up a situation. I said, oh, I already like that this is an expression, ornied up. So what happened? He said, I got a stain on my couch, and then I tried to fix it, and I made it worse. I said, yeah, that's exactly what Orny does. Welcome to episode 34. I've got my Salisbury Beach t-shirt on. You can see behind me. I've got a nice wood carving that says Salisbury Beach. This is the beach I grew up in, Massachusetts. $6.99 I paid for that. What a deal. And then I got that. I went into the store. I bought everything. Ashtrays, nothing like a beach ashtray. How cool is this? Looks so vintage. It's got a couple of seagulls. I don't know why it doesn't have 3 seagulls. So we're going to go over that stuff. We're going to, of course, go over, there's just so much going on. Maxwell House, good to the last drop. Viewer email. Hey, how great was Dave at the beginning from Zurich? He sent me a very nice email. Where's this email? And I said, Dave, why don't you just put that on a video? I'll play it on the podcast. You know, a lot of people contact me and they say, hey, could you reach out to me? Could you say hi? Could you send a birthday wish? Correspond with me via the podcast. I'll respond to you. This is where I'm interacting. So this is what Dave originally sent. What I like to do is I like people to compliment me via email or video or whatever on social media. I'm all at Orny Adams on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I think Facebook is /Orny fans. My Patreon is /Orny. Everything's up on the link, the general link, which is Team Orny Adams. So David sent me this email. I said, do you mind if I share this? This may sound a bit self-serving, but there's a line in here that I absolutely loved, and he left it out of the video. But David said, America needs you, Orny Adams, ! No lie. The people that will pull us out of this funk, this mess, are the comedians. I'm certain of it, and you are poised to be one of the most successful ones! Regardless of political affiliation, I venture to guess that the vast majority of Americans are not happy with the state of the country, probably the world. I suspect we are on opposite ends of the political spectrum, but you smartly transcend that difference with your humor. That's an incredible skill, especially in today's world. Your appeal is universal. Dave, why couldn't you have said that in the video? From Lake Zurich. Lake Zurich, of course, is in Illinois. It's north of Schaumburg, where I perform. It's west of what? Lake Michigan. Lake Zurich is like little Lake Michigan. It's little Lake Michi. In fact, they should call it Lake Michi. I looked on the map, and a lot of golf courses around it. David, I don't know your political affiliation. And again, none of it matters. This is all about finding commonality, finding what makes us all the same, because there's more that makes us the same than makes us different. That's what I truly believe. And Dave, no matter what you believe in, I bet you can't read your fortune cookies without reading glasses, right? Look at this. You should enhance. Look at the size difference between the regulated one and this one. You should enhance your feminine side at this time. Put those over there. So much to talk about, really. Friends shattering their ankles. It's really a bummer. Listen to this line, though. Listen, this is what got me in this Tom Petty thing, because this is something to keep in mind. This is what keeps people in the game in life, really.
They're playing it in Boston.
They're playing it in Boston. In other words, he was having no success. He put this song out, American Girl, I think, and nothing happened. And then one DJ, I'm sure at WBCN Boston, a station I interned at in high school. Anybody know that I interned for Tammy Heidi? So I was into sort of broadcasting and entertainment I knew from a young age. And
they're playing it in Boston.
Yeah, one thing turned it around. And even to this day in my career, I'm still waiting for this.
They're playing it in Boston.
I'm waiting for the one thing that turns it around. I'm waiting to wake up one day, and all of a sudden, millions of views on my YouTube videos, millions of people listening to my podcast, and I go, what happened?
They're playing it in Boston.
That's what happened. That's all it takes. It's like that book, The Tipping Point. It just takes one, and that's the hope. That's the hope. You know what hope is? Hope is what carries us from one disappointment to another. Never lose hope, because what I'm doing right now, like I'm doing this podcast, I'm stockpiling. I'm prepared. You know, like you freaks that have dried food and water for the apocalypse that's never going to happen. I have a career apocalypse. I'm storing everything. I have boxes of archives and videos all filed away, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for one thing to happen.
In Boston.
I'm waiting for them to play me in Boston, and that turned around Tom Petty's entire career. Just that one story he told. That's a clip from a concert, Tom Petty playing Fenway Park. He couldn't believe it. Tom Petty, as big as he was, this was, towards the end of his career, I believe, he's playing Fenway Park. He still couldn't believe it. He was playing Fenway Park because that's where it all started. I mean, how cool is that for life to come around like that? Wouldn't it be nice if we all had a little bit of justice in our life like that? I mean, that would be pretty amazing. This I'm going to talk about on another podcast. Hey, Joe, I'm still going to talk about, we have lots to go over. Some incredible, this came in on Instagram. This was an Instagram message. I didn't respond to it because what happens is if I respond to it, then a dialogue opens up. Next thing you know, there's a favor. Can you make a video for my friend's birthday? Or can you send me some? So listen, I read a lot of these messages. I'm sure I missed some. People have come to me after shows and said, I sent you a message. I don't think I ever got it. I apologize. But a lot of them I do read, and I'm addressing it here. This is from Angela. I'll use your first name. She wrote, this was last week, episode 22 of your podcast is so funny. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you that they're all so good. So Angela, if you're up to 22, guess what? We're on 34 right now. That gives you 12 other ones. This is from Linda. Linda has corresponded many times. Talked about her father on a podcast. who's Gene Parrott. I hope I'm saying your last name correctly. He authored a book that I read early on about comedy writing secrets. I suggest everybody do your research for any business you want to go into. Let me have I need a drop of coffee to keep this thing going. Sweat dripping everywhere. The hair's a mess. This is rock and roll, kids. Dave, thank you for your email. That goes over there. I print everything up. If you're not watching the video, it's important my hair looks, forget it. It's over. So this is in reference to an earlier podcast where I was talking about calling customer service. And I could give you a customer service story every podcast. I mean, I have one this week, but I won't share it with you. This is Linda. Hi, Orny. Thank you. I fixed my parents' dishwasher a few months ago. Last week, my dad called and said the parts rusted and weren't working. I ordered new, different parts. I was going to eat the cost for the rusty wheels, but then I listened to your podcast, and I said, oh, no. If Orny can get new grill racks, remember my grill racks were rusty? Who did I call? Weber. I emailed them. Within an hour and a half, it was resolved. I sent them pictures, and they sent me new grill racks, and they are here. They're here. She said, if Orny can get new grill racks, I can get new dishwasher wheels. End result, they are refunding my money. Now the question is, do I owe you a cut? Linda, you owe me nothing because you're listening, and I super appreciate that. I think that it's wonderful to have you along, and if people can take anything away from this podcast, because I will be announcing at the end of the podcast, I am officially starting a cult. So join my cult. Join my cult. I asked listeners, I said, why don't you send in, we're under this card, listener mail. Boy, this podcast is cooking. We did Tom Petty. We did Fortune Cookie. The two blank ones are my favorite. Put those aside because I can use those for the next podcast. Boy, it's becoming a mess of papers to my right, but I love it. Maxwell House, good to the last drop. That's a bit... I wonder when I created that bit. I think I tried it on stage one time. I'm obsessed with commercials. We'll get to the viewer mail in a second, but I am obsessed with commercials. Like one of those commercials said, the chock full of nuts is the heavenly coffee. Well, it's the coffee the Lord drinks. They brought the Lord into coffee. Coffee's coffee. See, that's the thing. Like, look at the coffee aisle. I know I've talked about the Tide detergent aisle, but the coffee aisle, it's the amount of choices you have for coffee. Your head could explode. Do we need this many options in coffee? Coffee, good to the last drop. Here's the other thing. The first sip, I go, this coffee's good. I like this coffee. I decide right away. Good coffee, bad coffee. Like when I'm on the road, I go to an independent coffee place. I take a sip. I go, oh, that's good. It's good. Then the second sip, I realize I've lost a little bit of my sensation for taste. By the end, it just tastes like coffee. Might as well be Folgers or whatever. Sanka. Remember Sanka? So what I'm saying is the last drop, it's the first drop's the one you really taste. By the end, you just sort of become used to it. It's like wine. You ever take a sip of wine? You go, that's really good. By the end, you can't even, you're just drinking it. You're not even thinking about it anymore. It just, even if it wasn't good, you're like, this is fine. I'm getting a buzz. Same with coffee. I'm getting a buzz. I'm getting a buzz. That's all that matters. But there's too many options. That's why we're so overwhelmed in life. Do you understand when corporations create options, it's to confuse the consumer so you just spend more. You just spend more. Let's do a taste test. Maybe we should do a taste test between cheaper coffee and better coffee. I would say probably the water you're using, the coffee maker you're using probably is more important. But before I get onto viewer mail, boy, are we cooking on this one. I put together some other coffee commercials. I became obsessed with coffee commercials last week. That's what happens. Like the other day, somebody mentioned this cult. I'd never heard of it. Called The Choice. There's so many cults. I guess in the 70s, everybody just joined a cult. So I spent all day yesterday researching it. And I don't want to get too deep into the research because at some point you go, that's good enough. I get the gist. I see what's happening here. But in the 70s, there were a lot of cults. And what happens is I like in my head, I go, drop of coffee. You know, it's good to the last drop. Wine. I'm sure people that do drugs think it's good to the last puff or whatever. Crack, good to the last whatever. I don't even do people's. Is crack still a thing? I'm sure. Boy. So I got obsessed with commercials. So let me play. I put together a string of some commercials. Since I don't have sponsorship, I'll just give them more. I always thought, because I have a friend that is always sending me commercials and criticizing. And then we go back and forth and we criticize the actors' technique and how hacky it is. I go, look at the voice they're using. It's so derivative. Or why do they all sound the same? Or they're stealing from this comic or whatever. Like I do this whole, we analyze nonstop. I said, this should be a TV show. And then I realized, well, you know what you need for a TV show? Sponsors. Well, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. That's right. The best part of waking up is Folgers, and I would agree with this. There are times in my life where the only way I can get to bed is by telling myself, just fall asleep and you can have coffee in the morning. So don't tell me coffee's not a drug. But the best part of waking up, not the person you're waking up next to, not your job, not life, not anything. It's the cup of Folgers. Is Folgers the one that had flavor crystals? Remember that? There was a flavor crystals. I think it was Folgers.
Maxwell House.
Maxwell House. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Wow, look at that. Wasn't that nice? Oh no, Randy Travis. Randy Travis for Folgers. Don't do it, Randy. Don't sell out to Folgers.
Down another show. Wake up on the bus, but that's life on the road. Though the morning is bright, it still feels like last night.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't know I liked Randy Travis's voice so much. He's got a good voice. I like this Folgers song. He's talking about working the road. He's working the road. Waking up in a different town. Nothing's familiar except one thing, right, Randy? What's it going to be? Folgers in the cup. Folgers in the cup. What's the other option? Folgers in a bowl? How do I cue this backwards? Randy Travis. He's on the tour bus. You got to see this. He's got his white T-shirt on. He's working the road. They show the tour bus. And then he's in a white T-shirt. He wakes up, makes his own coffee.
Another town, another show. Wake up on the bus, but that's life on the road.
Another town, another show. Wake up on the bus, but that's life on the road. These are beautiful lyrics. Wasted on a coffee commercial.
Though the morning is bright, it still feels like last night.
The morning is bright, but it still feels like last night. These are actually really good lyrics. I wonder if he wrote this. And then you see the person's up in the tour bus making the coffee, opening the can. I'm giving you a play-by-play of the Randy Travis Folgers coffee commercial.
Put the Folgers on the cruise. That aroma pulls me through.
The aroma.
Like a friendly voice from back home calling you.
It's like a friendly voice from back home calling you. It reminds him of home. This is a hit.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. That rich aroma now can go.
I mean, that's a great slogan.
But now it feels like home.
Now it feels like home. Part of waking up. Oh, now Randy's in a black T-shirt. Now he's in a white T-shirt. Now he's in a black T-shirt. You're going to see this. I love the manipulation of commercials. He goes black t-shirt, white t-shirt, black, white t. Look at this. White, 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 black, white, black, white, black. He wakes up. At nighttime when he plays, he's in a black t-shirt. Now it's the morning, he's in the white t-shirt. Part awake. Black t-shirt, must be playing at night. White t-shirts on the bus during the day. Look at him laughing, having a good time. His signature's on the screen. The best part, wake. Folgers in your cup. Yes. A+ commercial, A+ slogan opposed to, where is it? Where is it? Where's that slogan? Where is it? Houses. Maxwell House. Come on, everybody, sing it. Good to the last. I can't hear you. House. Maxwell Houses. Maxwell House. Houses. Everybody, come on. Good to the last drop. Maxwell House. That's a dumb slogan. Good to the last drop. Come on. Home. Best part of waking up is Folgers in. How's the last drop, Randy? How's the last drop? Oh, whoa, look at this one. With Maxwell House inside us, we'll come running to your aid. Our house. Maxwell House is good at commercials. Our house. We have pin-ups on the wall. We're a coffee-loving crowd. We love that smoothful flavor, and it always does us proud. These are all firemen singing. I forgot some people aren't seeing this. Yeah, that's right. There's a bunch of firemen singing Our House because they live in a firehouse. That's right. House is Maxwell House is good to the last drop. I'm so confused. Wait a minute. Randy Travis's Folgers, they're all good. A lot of work going into these commercials, but let's play this again. These Fire Brigade. This was done pre 9/11. I thought when I saw it at first, I go, oh, they're doing this because of 9/11. No. So let's see. Our house. That's our house in the middle of the street. Our house. I love that song. I love the video. You got to watch the video because they're playing their instruments about as effectively as the Cars for Kids. I mean, they're barely trying. They're almost like mocking the instruments. But what a great song! Our house was by. I know it. I can see it I can see it. Oh God! Come on, COVID brain. Come on, Delta variant brain. Oh, I had to stop myself. How dumb would this have been if I tweeted this? Just had a corona on my Delta flight, but I didn't. Let's go back. These are firemen. Bring your local fire brigade. Bring your local fire brigade. Maxwell House inside us, we'll come running to your aid. That's right. I'd like to think the firemen are drinking premium coffee, not to crap on Maxwell House, but it's not a fancy place at all. Our house. We have pin-ups on the wall. We're a coffee-loving crowd. We love that smoothful flavor, and it always does us proud. Our house. Look at them dancing, just like the our house, a Maxwell House. That's right. Make your house a Maxwell House. I know there's other ones. I know I put another. I think there's a Senka commercial.
Janet, you seem so jumpy.
My doctor says caffeine makes me nervous, but I don't like decaffeinated coffee.
Yeah, because it doesn't have caffeine.
New Sanka brand is different. It now has more real coffee aroma.
Hold on a second. Sanka's decaffeinated. Look how the guy opened. I forgot that's how you used to open it. You have to puncture the thing with a spoon.
More real coffee aroma and taste.
Smells real. Mmm.
Yeah, we're not drinking coffee for the smells real. We're drinking it for caffeine.
This is real coffee.
This room really looks better.
And I really feel better since I switched to Sanka brand.
Good luck when you're tired in the middle of the day because you didn't get your caffeine. Good luck when you get your headaches.
And decaffeinated coffee with more real coffee aroma and taste.
Your doctor should have told you, how about this? If you're getting the jitters from caffeine, then do half decaf, half regular, or drink less coffee. Fired up about this, I'll tell you that much. Is there any more? Or is that the end of it? I feel like there was another commercial. Anyway, you get the idea. Crowded House. Crowded House did. Is it Crowded House? Wait a minute. No, Crowded House wouldn't do Our House. Would they? Let me look at this up. I know it. Let's see. Our House song. It's going to make me angry that I didn't get it. Not Crosby, Stills, and Madness. Madness.
Hi.
Oh,
I
what's
guess
this?
traffic didn't bother you today.
What is
lot
this?
of things don't bother
Something's
me
playing.
since you switched me to the great taste of Sanka
Something's
brand.
playing on my computer. Oh, there's another Sanka commercial. Okay, so look at this.
Hi.
Okay, on the screen it says a few weeks earlier, a couple gets out of a car, an older man wearing a suit. Everybody's very dressed up. He looks like he's ready to host The Price is Right, this guy who's walking the dog.
Traffic didn't bother you today. A lot of things don't bother me since you switched me to the great.
So the guy who got out of the car is younger, so he got some sagacious advice from the older guy, and the older guy probably told him to switch to Sanka.
Taste of Sanka brand.
Oh, they're all laughing. Sanka, this is what it says on the screen. The coffee lets you be your best.
Sanka brand, the coffee that lets you be your best.
Yeah, I just said that. Houses! Come on, everybody sing it. Houses!
Good feeling.
Good to the last drop. Maxwell House! Maxwell Houses! Maxwell Houses! Good to the last drop. Maxwell House. I can already tell I like this podcast because I've sort of forgotten that I'm even recording. That's a good sign. That is a good sign. So let's get to some viewer mail. I love to dissect commercials because I find commercials to be a time capsule to what was going on at that time, whether what they're wearing, like all the Sanka commercials where somebody convinces them to switch to Sanka, and then a few weeks later, they follow up with that person in the commercial, and the person's life is much better. Well, I wish life was that easy because I would start drinking Sanka. My advice to Sanka would have been to some catchy tunes. Get whoever Randy Travis is. I got to start listening to Randy Travis. That's another sign I'm getting older. I'm starting to like country. Sometimes that happens to people as they get older that never listen to country. That is the truth. Let's go over some. I asked people on social media. My social media for Twitter is @OrnyAdams. Instagram @OrnyAdams. Facebook is /OrnyFans. YouTube is Orny Adams. Am I missing anything? I don't do TikTok, even though there's some Orny Adams impersonators on there. I just can't do it all. Like, remember there's something called Clubhouse for a while? People were like, you got to try this new app where you hang out in the Clubhouse. It's like an audio hangout type thing. And I said, I'm skipping this one. Guess what? I was right. Nobody's talking about it anymore. So I asked people on social media to reach out to me on the email, what's wrong @OrnyAdams, and send me some questions. And I thought, well, we're going to get a million people. I'm not going to be able to answer them all. Well, I think people are... What I got was people sending in 50 questions. So let me answer a few of them. And I thank everyone for taking the time. This one says, what's your favorite breakfast food? Right into, do you like being famous? Well, I tend to eat Maxwell House for breakfast. Good to the last drop. Maxwell House. Somebody's got to cover this. I wish the toys for kids, now that they're grown up, I wish the 1-88877 cars for kids. I wish those kids, now that they're older, they must be drinking coffee. I wish they would cover the Maxwell House song. Or even, if they dare, maybe one of them can go solo and cover this Randy Travis song, which was A+. Lyrics were phenomenal. Alex writes, favorite breakfast food? I start, obviously, a cup of coffee. Here it is right here. I love this mug. I wish I had bought more. I didn't. And then they got discontinued, which is why people start hoarding. I tend to, this morning for breakfast, I had oatmeal. Oatmeal. I put raisins in, little brown sugar, bananas, blueberries. Sometimes I sprinkle sliced almonds and some, what are they? Not walnuts, or something else. They're more grand than walnuts. Anyway, That's what I had for breakfast today. Sometimes I make it, when I was in the Bahamas, they put coconut in there. So sometimes I put coconut in there too. Other days I just have cereal and I mix it up. I mix 3 different types of cereal. What? It's craziness. That's right. Always a little grape nuts. That's what old people put in for texture until I won't be able to have grape nuts anymore because I have dentures as I'm sitting on my couch with my plastic cover, with my reading glasses around my neck. I now get why people do reading glasses. I have a headache from trying to get my eyes to focus. I went to an eye doctor and I said, are my eyes okay? Because I've never needed glasses my whole life. So this is an adjustment physically, emotionally. And she said, your eyes are great, but yeah, you can't read. I said, well, I don't want to be one of these people with the reading glasses because then they know I'm over a certain age. You know, these people that, here are my glasses. They pull them out and they go like this. Look at it. Here's the thing. I can't even get the reading glasses on because of the headphones are covering it. And then they take them off and they have to act all sophisticated, wave them around. You know, you're not sophisticated. Your eyes suck. Sometimes I splurge and have a bagel. Sometimes English muffin. Cereal, I mix them. I've got a whole pantry full of cereals and I use almond milk, even though it takes, I think, like 1 to 10 gallons of water. That's a lot of drops. Yeah, rain comes in drops. That's what comes in drops. That's how you measure rain. Drops and buckets. Are there buckets of coffee? Any coffee good to the last bucket? How do you get the last drops evaporating? I better get to it fast because it's good. It's good to the last drop. Do you like being famous? Here's the truth, Alex. And I'm not being humble. I'm being serious. I do not consider myself famous. I'm somewhat recognizable at times. People know me from a show I was on called Teen Wolf. Some people know me from my comedy. I like those people better. I hate every time I post anything on social media that is not about Teen Wolf and people underneath it just make reference to Teen Wolf. I don't mind having a discussion about Teen Wolf. I'm proud that I was in Teen Wolf. I love my Teen Wolf fans that understand that I have other aspects of my life and not everything is about, is there going to be a season 7? I could take time to explain to you how there will never be a season 7. You just can't pick up a show like that. It's certainly not with the same cast member. The availability of some cast members, the crew, the scripts, we're all now a little bit older. Maybe there could be a movie. Maybe there could be a 2-hour special. I could see something like that happening. I love that you guys are so attached to it. It was a fantastic show. It should have never stopped. That's what I'm saying. And yes, if they did do some sort of project involving Teen Wolf, I would hope that I would be asked back as coach, because coach is timeless. Coach can come back with his reading glasses and still have fun on the show. So I don't consider myself famous at all. I wanted to be famous when I was younger, but I've seen what it does to people. And I'm actually glad it never happened. It would have ruined my life. And I enjoy that I can go out and most of the time people don't know me. Or they go, oh, wasn't that the guy? Isn't Teen Wolf? Or is that guy? No, I've seen that guy do comedy. He's good. And, you know, they don't bother me. Sometimes people sneak pictures, but it's not, you know, sometimes I get free stuff. Converse sends me free sneakers. You know, that stuff I like. But, yeah, you know, I guess I got lucky. I dodged that bullet. This is why it should be an audio podcast, because sweat is running down my face. Oh, Alex writes, do you like getting gifts from fans at shows? Of course. I don't even have to be at a show. You see me out, give me a gift. By the way, this is how I know I'm not famous. I yell at the tour buses all the time in Hollywood, and nobody says, oh, nobody's ever posted a picture of me yelling at them. Like, I'm up there going, you know, did your driver just show you the Hollywood sign? And they go, yeah. I go, you know, that's not the real Hollywood sign. That's a fake one. That's closer. They put that up for the tourists and the tour buses. The real one's like on the other side of the hill. Your driver's too lazy, and people have to take you there. And people are videotaping me, and nobody tags and goes, "Hey, look what happened. Remember Orny Adams? Now he's an old guy yelling at tour buses." Can you update your tour schedule on your website so we can plan when to come see you, Alex? Thank you. It has been updated. I forgot about my tour schedule. That's how out of sync I am. Next week, I will be in Nashville, Tennessee at Zany's. Super excited about that. So, in this weekend, I'll be in Hollywood doing shows again. Right now, I have scheduled the Laugh Factory in the Improv. I do not post about my local shows. Call the clubs, ask them, when is Orny Adams going to be here? And if you're in Nashville, come see me in Zany's. There's a lot of people that live in Nashville. What is the population of Nashville? This is a great question. Population, Nashville. Nashville. There is almost 700,000 people living in Nashville. I just need 1,000 to want to see me next Friday and Saturday. What is that date? Oh no, camera A just shut off. That's never happened. Okay, hold on a second. Wow. Okay. Okay, so welcome back. A little bit of a continuity issue. I lost camera A, so I'm now going to play to camera B and let camera A cool down. Sorry about that, everybody. But I'm talking about Nashville. I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee next week. I was just looking for the date, and then I noticed the camera went off. So I will be at Zany's in Nashville the 13th and 14th, August 13th and 14th. The dates will be up on my calendar, ornyadams.com/tour. Let's pick up where we left off. So, and then later today, I've got to make one of those promos where I beg people to come see my show. I mean, there's 700,000 people that live in Nashville, Tennessee. Could 1,000 come and see? And we're not even talking about surrounding areas. People can drive from Atlanta. You could drive from Lake Zurich, Dave. Come see the show. I think this is what I did not miss most about COVID. Was selling tickets. It's just humiliating. I wish I could be one of those comics that you just put it up online and you announce it one time and then that's it. You know, these clubs look and they say, wow, he's got over 600,000 followers on Instagram and 400,000 or so on Twitter and whatever I have on everything else, Facebook. This guy's going to sell out fast. Who are you people? Where are you? Are you halfway around the world? If you're listening, what does it take? Because I can't imagine. I'm going to make a promo and go. Today I'll go, hey, I'm excited to return to Nashville, Tennessee. Is Nashville, Tennessee excited to see me? 700,000 people live in Nashville, Tennessee. Who's coming to see me? Or can 1,000 of you come see me? Like, what can I say on a promo that will encourage people? It's like a form of begging. And I have to do it. And that's, during COVID, I didn't miss any of this. I really didn't. I'm already really bummed about what it's going to take to edit this. Let's see if camera A, if I can pop this baby on again. Let's see if it works. Okay. Come on, A. Stay on. It must be. You go, how hot is it? Well, it's very hot and big yellow here. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in a metal tube. So let's get on because I have so much I want to talk about. I'm going to put my reading glasses on. Who cares? I'm going to read from my new favorite book, The Sociopath Next Door. I was walking around my neighborhood and I ran into this guy. He's a screenwriter. And he said, I just read this really interesting book. I said, yeah, what was it? He goes, The Sociopath Next Door. I said, wait a minute. Did you run into Ann? Did Ann tell you to read it? So Ann is telling everybody in the neighborhood to read this book. So here we go. I'm I'm going to stop the podcast. It's just too hot in here. Welcome back. It's official. I'm drinking a beer. This is part 2. I left off. What happened was camera A shut down, and then I shut down immediately after that. I actually overheated to the point where I thought I was going to pass out. I thought I might faint. It is that hot in here. So for safety reasons, we shut it down. I'm back. That was at about 10 o'clock this morning. It's now about 6. So let's do some math there. It's 8 hours later. I got absolutely nothing done in between. I made a video where I left off. I was talking about 2 things. I was talking about the book. I will go over The Sociopath Next Door. I will continue this discussion, recommended by Ann in the neighborhood. And also that I was shooting a video for my dates. I'm already sweating. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Welcome back to What's Wrong with Orny Adams, episode 34. We're just going to watch Orny sweat. Dragging this down, dragging it down, and shutting it off. All right, so here is, I actually shot the promo for Nashville while I was doing nothing for the last 8 hours except complaining and trying to figure out how to fix this situation with the cameras overheating and me overheating. It's just so hot in here. So this may have to turn into a nighttime podcast, which means more beers and more, I guess, mezcal and tequila. That will open up my brain a little. Listen, every time even 2 sips, I'm already going to say something that I shouldn't have said. That's why when I usually have a no drink on camera policy, but I just needed a beer. So here's the promo I shot for Nashville. I'll be at Zany's next weekend, August 13th and 14th, Friday and Saturday. Friday 13th. Woo! And it's exactly what I told you I was going to do before the camera shut off. And we'll add graphics and stuff like that to the screen to enhance this video. But this is the gist of it. There's nothing a comic enjoys more than making one of these videos to try and convince you to come see their show. Well, I will say this. I'm excited to be returning to Nashville to do shows at Zany's. This club's hot. Now, is Nashville excited that I'm returning, Orny Adams? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see how many people show up. I just Googled, this is how I'm spending my time. About 700,000 people live in Nashville. I just need 1,000 to show up at my shows, and it's a success. I mean, that's like one 700,000th of you just to show up, and we'll have fun. I don't know how to convince you to. If you don't know me, I guess you can go to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Listen to my podcast. Come see a show. It'll be better than this. Definitely. I mean, that's the hardest thing. Like, can't somebody else endorse me? Wouldn't that be a lot easier? It'd seem a lot more organic. I actually printed out because I also went on Twitter and I said, hey, I'm going to Nashville. What should I do in my free time? And I got some great suggestions. Here they are. And I'll just go right down the list. This is on my Twitter. Go to Dollywood, maybe. I don't know if that's on my list. The Opryland Hotel, must visit. But you'll need a car to get there from downtown. Well, why doesn't somebody pick me up? Let's see. What else? Hattie B's for hot chicken. Johnny Cash Museum. Johnny Cash Museum would be cool. The Pantheon. Is that what it says? Parthenogenesis. Do I still have that clip? That was so many episodes ago. Parthenogenesis. Oh, wouldn't that be cool? Parthenogenesis. Oh, it pays to be organized. How great is that? Go to the Parthenogenesis. Hattie B's for hot chicken. Johnny Cash.
Parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis. Johnny Cash Museum. Go to the Grand Ole
Parthenogenesis.
Yeah, I heard you. Go to Broadway Brew House, Wild Horse Salon, then pop over to Blake Shelton over to see Blake Shelton at Old Red. What is he in residence over there? Is that where he is? I will, of course, be at Zany's August 13th and 14th, Friday and Saturday.
Parthenogenesis.
I heard you. I got the point. What else can you say?
Can't be serious.
I am serious.
You cannot be serious.
Yes, I will be at Zany's in Nashville. I am serious.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
The yellow, gutless way they do things here.
Not in Nashville. They're not yellow and gutless. I'll tell you that. And then here's the best response. Somebody just replied and said, meatloaf.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
So somebody come to my show and please explain what meatloaf means. Let's finish with the viewer mail. This is from Allie. She is a strong supporter. She responds to everything. She reposts everything. She's a Patreon patron. I'm taking huge gulps of this beer. Slow down, Orny. Slow down. Allie asks, what does a typical day look like for you when you don't, let me start this again. What does a typical day look like for you when you don't have a show that night? Well, if I'm doing a podcast, it's much like today. It's a whole lot of nothing. I go to the gym. I hike. I know people ask about my hobbies. I really don't. Gardening. I like gardening. I like fixing things. I like researching. You know, what am I trying to say? Yeah, we get it. What I'm trying to say is I have no life. Before that horn interrupted me. What is the one country you'd like to visit in your lifetime? It's one country. I like Peru. If I had to pick one, Peru, Brazil, Asian countries, Thailand. Probably, one country that I haven't visited that I'd like to visit. Maybe Cambodia? Why is that? Well, you're going to find out on a future podcast. Stay tuned. Thank you for the questions, Allie. Miso, worst invention ever made and why? That's easy. The suction cup. The suck cup. I hate suction cups. They never stay on the wall. In fact, I've wanted for years to put a suction cup on the wall with a camera on it, much like, you know, when eagles are giving birth in their nests and the eggs are about to hatch, everybody watches the eagle's egg. Well, I'd like to do that with a suction cup. I think it's equally as natural and entertaining how long a suction cup would stay on a wall for, because I find they fall all the time, the ones in the shower, especially if you travel like me, because there's no moisture. So what happens to the shaving mirror? Come home, it's on the floor. What if, has the house been robbed? The shower mirror is on the floor. What's going on? Is everything okay? Thank you for the question. Here's the Nashville stuff. Let's get on to this. We'll end this. Where are we at here? Part 2 here. I want to keep this podcast slim, svelte. That's a Yiddish word for skinny. I want to talk about this book, The Sociopath Next Door. This is a continuation from episode 33. Now, you can see how much work I put into these books. Now, the guy I saw on the street the other day who recommended the book that I had recommended, and again, I said, I just talked about that on my podcast. And guess what? Nobody cares when I say I have a podcast. Am I really that late for this game? Well, anyway, Anne, and I don't take this personally, lent him her personal book. I don't care. I don't mind buying my own. And then I can mark it up like this. Look at this. Look at this. Here are some scary facts that I left out of episode 33. Oh, let me get the reading glasses on. Let's, why not? Beer and reading glasses. I've reached the end. I don't even want to look up. Just see what I look like. Okay, this is what's scary about sociopaths. We have an extremely hard time seeing that a person has no conscience, but a person who has no conscience can instantly recognize someone who is decent and trusting. This is from the book Martha Stout, PhD, The Sociopath Next Door. And, it's really actually, and in case you're wondering, earlier when it was 1,000 degrees in here and the sun was on, I didn't need the glasses, but now I kind of do. Okay, how does this all tie in? Remember I went over the Stanley Milgram experiment where, people just zapped. They gave electric shocks to people that got questions to a quiz wrong based on, there was an authority figure in a lab coat, and he would say, administer the shock. And they would do it because they felt no sense of responsibility. Milgram was fascinated why Nazis took orders and did horrible things. And he wanted to know if everyday people are like that. Will they take orders from an authority figure? And this is the conclusion that Stanley Milgram came to. And this is rather depressing. A substantial proportion of people do what they are told to do, irrespective of content of the act without limitations or conscience, so long as they perceive that the command comes from a legitimate authority. Milgram believed that the authority could put conscience to sleep, mainly because the obedient person makes an adjustment of thought, which is to see himself as not responsible for his own actions. In other words, not morally accountable. Now, this is all information I'm going to take in when I start my cult eventually. Don't tell people I'm starting a cult, because I have discovered that none of the cult people announce that they're starting a cult. They sort of just, they get people to follow along. I don't know how that works. But what's really scary is 1 in 25 people are sociopathic. They're not driven by that little voice that we have in our heads, that little mechanism that beats us up, that tells us not to do something. They can't put themselves in somebody else's shoes. They do know right from wrong, but it doesn't control or sway their actions. So I recommend reading this book. I really do. Let's see what else this says. Yeah, she discusses that people that are moral, that do play by the rules, people like me, tend to get frustrated because we do get beat by people that don't play by the rules. And is that fair? No. But as much as I don't want to play by the rules, it's really hard for me not to. It's hard for me to take advantage of people. To an extent, we all do a little bit, but, Okay. And then I'll wrap it up on this, because this is important too. So, let me put the book down because I'm too book dependent. Let me have a sip of beer. Let's discuss this. Here's the deal. I don't know if I trust charming people. Any charming people. I feel like charming people are charming because they want something. They're good at manipulating. I mean, I've worked with producers who lie to my face. I know they're lying to my face. I know the truth. And they sit there and they smile and, and they nod. They make me feel good. And I think, shit, this guy's lying, but I still like him. I have no likability. Hang out with me. Nobody leaves lunch with Orny Adams and thinks, wow, I feel better about myself. I'm inspired. No, I give you reality. And nobody wants reality. I should have lied. I should have been full of shit. I would have a career worth mentioning. I wouldn't have to make these videos. Begging people to come to my shows. Shouldn't my track record beg you? Shouldn't that tell you everything you need to know? Shouldn't it speak for itself? Guess not. Martha Stout calls empathy the seventh sense. Do you have it? You know what I like to do? And I was hanging out with a psychologist the other day, a doctor, and I said to her, you know what I like to do? I like to test how much empathy I have. I like to try and really put myself in somebody else's situation, see if I can really feel what they feel. I really want to make sure I'm not a sociopath. And then I said to her, there's no way we could be fully empathetic all the time. We blow our minds out. So as a defense mechanism, sometimes you're not empathetic. And I just want to make sure I'm not slipping into the 4%, the 1 out of 25. Just remember that 1 out of 25 people and they know it. And in one of the, somebody, a viewer or listener sent me a review from somebody who wrote in like on Amazon or one of those sites for this book and said, you know, I don't like the way I think it was she said I'm sociopathic, and I don't like the way we're portrayed. You know, just because we don't have empathy doesn't mean we don't know right from wrong and don't do the right thing. Martha's not saying that. In fact, she's saying most of the time, you know, there's another great quote. I rehighlighted things. Hey, welcome to Happy Hour with Orny Adams. Stuff that I should bring up that is important. I wonder if you can see a reflection of the cameras and stuff in my lens. At present, sociopathy is incurable. Furthermore, sociopaths almost never wish to be cured. But when they asked people that had a conscience if they ever would not want to have a conscience, they all said no, negative. Just make sure I didn't miss anything else. Sociopaths, she went into this because she was a therapist or a doctor, and she treated a lot of people that were damaged by sociopaths. So beware. But here's the most important thing, and it brings me back to the conversation I had with my neighbor who had just read the book too. Dr. Stout said that we can't recognize sociopaths. And people will always ask, well, what are some traits I can look for to recognize a sociopath? And she said there's one trait, one thing that all sociopaths seem to have in common. The most consistent thing. Do you want to guess what it is? Do you want to guess what it is? I'll take a sip of the beer and you can guess. Welcome to Nighttime Orny. You can guess. Have you figured it out? Pity. They all want pity more than anything. Why? Because if you pity the sociopath, you never believe that they could commit that crime. You never believe that they would do that they would cheat, that they would lie to you, that they would take advantage of you with their lack of moral voice. They all want to be pitied. Do you know people that want to be pitied? Do you know people who are constantly the victim? Do you know people who maybe you don't trust? You get that little gut feeling? Do you know people that are charming? Now, maybe it's the business I'm in. Maybe you live in the middle of nowhere and you don't encounter this problem. But I do. And it's overwhelming. That's right. Maxwell House is
Good feeling.
good to the last drop. Maxwell House. Sing it, everybody. Maxwell House.
Good taste.
So is beer, yes.
Good feeling.
Beer is good to the last drop. To who? Maxwell Beer House. Maxwell Beer House. Let's talk about the latest documentary I watched yesterday. Somebody tipped me off and said, there is a cult you probably have not heard of. And I said, what is it? They're called the Source Family. There's a documentary on Netflix. Well, it's not on Netflix anymore, but I found it on Amazon Prime. And this leader, Father Yod, who was born Jim Baker, seems if you're born with the name Jim Baker, you're up to some mischievousness, some parthenogenesis. There's another Jim Baker. This Jim Baker started a cult in 1969 in Los Angeles. They opened a restaurant called The Source. And if you saw it, you would say, how did people not know this was run by a cult? They were all wearing white robes. There was like mysticism on the wall. All their names were like, Half Moon and Soybean. Hey, Soybean, orders up. They had names like, what else could be a funny name? Eggplant. I don't know what else. Sesame stick. And they ran a restaurant. Then they started a rock band. And this guy, now I don't get how the cult starts. I think that's what I need. I need, for my quest to start my own cult, I need one of these documentaries. How do you get the first few people? Because it always comes in, he's got 150 people. They're all living together in a 3-bedroom house, like in a canyon up here in Los Angeles. They all live together. All these beautiful women. That's the other thing. He had beautiful, none of these cult leaders are decent looking. Look at me. I'd be the hottest cult leader of all time. Who even comes close? Not that Nexium guy. Manson? Who? This guy looked like, you know, the beard, the Jesus look. Who's hotter than me? Am I too hot to start a cult? Is that what the problem is? These beautiful one after another. I'm like, wow. Wow, look at these women. Beautiful. Dudes, I'm sure they were good looking too. I didn't look. But in fact, I think it was all women. What other cult leader? Jim Jones? No way I'm hot. I'm way hotter than Jim Jones. Who else? The Bikram yoga guy? Can't hold a candle to me. Name me one cult leader that's hotter than me. Why am I not getting a harem of women? This guy starts a restaurant. I'm sure they all worked for free. Made enough money that he had a white Rolls Royce, which is like apparently the car of these cult leaders. I wish I had a producer to just yell out other cult leaders. Who am I missing? Are any of them good looking? Tony Robbins? I guess he's all right if you consider that a cult. Anyway, Marlon Brando, John Lennon, Warren Beatty, all went to this restaurant, The Source. It was the first natural vegetarian restaurant. This guy was ahead of his time with yoga. He had a yoga studio upstairs. That's what he would do. He'd tell the women, he's like a photographer. You know, photographers, they go, I want to take your pictures for free. Next thing you know, they're, banging. Yoga leads to a lot of sex. I got to get back into yoga. I just realized that's what's missing in my life. Yoga. Man, cat-cow pose. So he had a white Rolls, and so the guy, he had quite an odd history. Oh, then they started a band, because like everybody else, everybody, I don't care if you're a cult leader, if you're whatever you are, you want to be a comedian or a rock star. If you're a rock star, you want to be a comedian. If you're a comedian, you want to be a rock star. The band they started was WWWOA 13, and guess what? They're not bad. I didn't pull any clips, but they weren't bad. My cult is going to be a party. That's right, it's going to be a party. Not a sad party. That's the sad blower from episode... Oh, what happened there? Episode... Whoa, still going. It's like the chauffeur. So here's what happened. And I'm trying to think of, like, when I start my cult. Here's the real problem with a lot of these cults. They turn into these sex cults. And polygamy. And it seems like there's a lot of underage sex. The men are having sex, and I'm not down for that. I want this to be a real cult. Like, it's a cult. Like, you need you to listen to me. I'm Father Orny, and I'm going to disseminate information. I'll have codes. We'll abide by. We're going to dress a certain way, black t-shirt and jeans, and wear our hair crazy. I'd like everyone to look like me. I'd like the white Rolls Royce. I like the idea of that. But I think I would be, I'd be too honest. Maybe I'm not sociopathic enough. Maybe I have the seventh sense, empathy, so I can't do this. But if I could, I think I'd be like an insecure cult leader. Be like, maybe I'm not that great. Maybe you shouldn't listen to me. Maybe I'm not God on earth. Take the weekend off, followers. I'd like to get a cult. First of all, how can I have a cult when I can't even get this podcast to take off the way I need it to? See the way I said podcast? Because I started to think, don't say something you're going to regret. Don't say it. 200 followers. So anyway, this guy, Father Yod, actually started to doubt himself and took mushrooms one day and then told some of his followers, he said, I'm really not God. They're like, yes, you are. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm a human just like you. I have pain just like you. I have to answer to God. And they didn't believe him. And I think he was doubting himself. He was doubting everything. I think he got out of control. They moved to Hawaii from Los Angeles. Well, they got into trouble in Los Angeles. Like the housing department came after them. And in general, after Manson killed those people, well, what happened was, you know what it is? Maybe I'm hot, but I don't have charisma. Now I'm thinking about it. I probably don't have, like to some people I have charisma, but not to enough people, because if I did, but charisma is like charm, and I don't want to have charm because then I'm sociopathic. Yeah, this guy had charisma. I think I lack charisma. Because my cult could promote me. They could promote my shows, my podcast. That's what I really want. And multiple women. This guy had you look at this guy and go, he can't get one woman. Multiple women. In a Rolls Royce. Oh, and then they started this band. This is so great. And the band goes to high schools in Los Angeles and plays. This is the 60s or early 70s. This is how much stuff has changed. They allowed, excuse me, my motorcycle's being delivered. They allowed this band to play at high school. They showed them at like Beverly Hills High School. They showed them at like all different high schools around Los Angeles. They played UCLA. And this guy's up there espousing, that he's God during the band and getting people. And then people would say, man, this is like a happening. What's going on? And women would come up to him and say, come do morning yoga with me. That's what I'm going to say to women after my shows now. Come do morning yoga with me. Hey, Orny, you were funny. Come do morning yoga with me. I'm trying to get people to come see another show, buy a t-shirt, trying to get them to listen to my pod. Hey, Orny, you're funny. Oh, yeah, if you thought it was funny, you might have a podcast. You might like the podcast I do. Not anymore. Not anymore. Hey, Orny, you were funny. Well, look, you can go, come do morning yoga with me. Come eat vegetarian food and let's do morning yoga. I'm Father Orny. I'm the Lord. This guy, so he started to question himself, and to the point, this is so great. I think he was done. I think this was suicide. He decided to go hang gliding. He announced one day, let's go hang gliding. I'm going to go. They're like, Father, you've never done that. He goes, the Lord will, if I'm the Lord, I can fly. Well, how do you think that turned out for him? He crashed, broke his back, dead 9 days later because he refused to go to the hospital. I'm going to play you a clip from the Source documentary about when he confided in somebody that he was not God. But why I'm really playing the clip is because this is really important. As your leader, as your cult leader, as Father Orny, oh, great one, Father Orny. If you saw me in a white Rolls with 4 beautiful women, you wouldn't be suspicious. You'd say, that makes sense. That makes sense. I've seen his stand-up. He should have a Rolls and 4 beautiful women. Google what these people look like, please. And I'm not saying, okay, here we go. I'm not saying that unattractive people can't get beautiful. You know what? I'm being funny. I'm being funny.
Orny made a joke. Orny made a joke. Orny made a joke right there.
Where? There.
Orny
made a joke. Yeah.
Orny made a joke.
Yeah.
Orny made a joke
right there. There. And I'm bringing it down. That's the way my mind. That's where my mind went. That's where your mind goes. Let's cut the crap. Pretending like we don't have all of horrible thoughts. I have empathy. And horrible thoughts. That's what makes me special. So here's a clip, and you'll see what he says at the end, and that's what I want to talk about as your leader.
He started to speak, and he said, I'm not God. I'm not God. I'm just a man.
Must be a father behind me. He's the one that has the power. But I seem to be without power to move anything or do anything. So I am completely dependent upon the God of all to take care of me.
And Makusha said, shh, don't say that. You're God. You're God. He goes, no.
Makusha, that's their names. Makusha. Orders up, Makusha. Oh, that's the wrong clip. I gotta get back to the other. Don't tell me I have to start the clip all over again. Please don't tell me. Yeah, I guess I do.
He started to speak, and he said,
sorry, everybody.
I'm not God.
I'm not
God. I'm just a man.
That's what I would do if I was a cult leader. I'd be like, hey, I get drunk one night. I'd be like, guys, if you haven't figured it out, I'm really not God.
Must be a father behind me. He's the one that has the power. But I seem to be without power to move anything.
Does this guy sound like he should be getting hot chicks?
Completely dependent upon the God of all to take care of me.
And Makusha said, shh, don't say that. You're God. You're God. He goes, no, I'm not. I'm a man. I'm a man like any other man. And it changed my relationship to him that day, and I know it changed his relationship to himself and to the whole phenomenon of the family. I realized that any relationship with a teacher should be temporary, that at the end of it all, we are our own teacher, and we are responsible for our own evolution.
Got it?
The next chapter for me involved going out on my own. That's what I did.
UFO type music. That's the important lesson that I pulled out of this documentary, or from that particular guy right there, is listen to people. Take advice from people, whether it's me. I take advice from people all the time. But at some point, the mentor must be cut off. Must be cut off. And I think that's sort of like a really important lesson is at what point does the student need to break away? Because I've certainly broken away from my mentors. It's very painful. They don't like it. It never ends well. I mean, I see that with people that I've taken in and helped and stuff like that. Listen, I don't want this to be too serious. I love doing this podcast. This is part 2, and it looks like this is going to be a long one. So tomorrow I'll go to the gym. That's what I do on my day off sometimes. And then I'll start editing. Ernesto will, I want to say polish, but it's not, he'll work on the audio. There's a whole 2 people working on this thing. Whole 2 people. I want to thank everyone who is on my Patreon and who supports me. Look at already my mind is like, on my beer. My cult, we sit around, we drink tequila and mezcal, and we talk about the world. I think my mind has been a little bit bummed lately because of, we just can't kick the COVID. As I said on Twitter yesterday, if we can't get rid of the man bun, how the hell are we going to get rid of COVID? We don't have a chance. We don't have a chance. What's wrong with Orny Adams? Episode 34.
What's his name, Kev?
Orny Adams. Put them together and what do you got? We got Orny Adams. Bringing it down. I've got shows this weekend at the Improv. I'm closing both shows Friday, Saturday, 8 p.m. It's an honor. I'll be at the Laugh Factory, and I'll probably pick up some other spots. Next week, I'm in Nashville. I've got a bunch of my tour calendar is updated. OrnyAdams/tour. If you want to send me emails, It's What's Wrong at OrnyAdams.com. What's Wrong at OrnyAdams.com. And for everything What's Wrong podcast, Team What's Wrong. TeamWhat'sWrong.com. That's where you're going to get the links for where the audio is, and the video right now is on Patreon. This video will be up in a couple of days. Thank you, Ernesto Hurtado. Thank you for everybody listening. And I really hope I'm saying this sincerely, I hope people do enjoy this. This podcast is nothing like my stand-up comedy. My stand-up comedy is boom, 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 boom. This is more informational. I'm asking you to look at this as a companion piece for my stand-up comedy. If you're curious like me, and you're curious about the things I'm curious about, if you're curious what it's like to have a phone call conversation, a conversation on the phone with me, this is what sometimes my friends actually say when I listen to your podcast, I sometimes I respond because it feels like I'm on the phone with you. That's What's Wrong with Orny Adams. Episode 34. Let's bring it out with some joy. Everybody sing it. Maxwell House. Come on. Good to the last drop. Maxwell House. All right, that's it. Thank you very much. Goodbye. My name's Orny Adams.
Into the room and said, they're playing it in Boston.